right, my beautiful little ass whiffers. So today we're gonna talk about these guys. Show them the picture. Yep, that's right, I know you saw that correctly. We're talking about Gehl. Some of y'all didn't even know how to pronounce that. Gehl Company is actually one of the oldest Midwest manufacturing companies in the United States. Its roots can be traced all the way back to 1859. When a man by the name of Louis Lucas, say that 5 times fast, would open an iron foundry in central Wisconsin, manufacture plows and cultivators. However, later in the year 1880, he would be joined by a German immigrant known by M. Zilberzahn, I think. He was a blacksmith. However, it wouldn't be until 1902 when a certain man would come along. That man's name would be John W. Gehl. Purchase a majority of stock in Lucas and Zilberzahn Company. A year later, in 1903, John would then rope his brothers into investing in the company as well. He would ask his brothers, Mike, Nick, and Henry, to join him on his quest. Then, of course, they would start Gehl Brothers Manufacturing Company in central Wisconsin in 1904, which they would then begin manufacturing a wide array of basic farm machinery. And just 2 years later, in 1906, a fire would destroy their entire company. But through the sale of stock and pure fucking stubbornness and determination, they would completely rebuild. By the 1920s, Gehl Brothers Manufacturing would become the undisputed world heavyweight champion. It would actually be known and undisputed for is their quality, being the most innovative, and being the most reliable farm equipment manufacturing company in the region. Also in the 1920s is when they would actually span off into the world of mixer and grinder feed mills, where they would dominate the market for the next 30 years. They didn't just focus on mixer mills, oh god, no, they would move on to shit spreaders in 1927, where they would introduce their very first manure spreader. One of the biggest and notable changes in Gehl's history happens in the 1930s and 40s. As the original Gehl brothers would start to be getting older, some would pass away, others would retire. However, each of them would be replaced by a Gehl descendant or family member. And by the mid-1940s, an entire new generation of Gehl brothers would take over the company. Those brothers would be the names of Mark, Al, Carl, and Dick Gehl. However, post-war Gehl would find its own unique challenges. In the 1950s, farms would be expanded. What I'm trying to tell you is it was all fucking different in the 50s. All these veterans coming out and they're farming now. Some of these changes would be a lot of the farm tasks being replaced by machines. We would begin to invent things like the front-loading silage box, the front feed a silage blower to fill a silage, choppers for both silage and forage, models like this Gehl 72 chopper. In the 1970s, they would begin manufacturing construction equipment. Fast forward 20 years to 1990. A company of this stature, sales would fall 60% and would force them to sell in 1995 to Brisky. This company could be a 30-minute video. This has been Gehl. I'm gonna go fuck myself. I love you guys.